Chilling tales for dark nights.
Want to make sure you never miss a Chilling Tales for Dark Nights video again? Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to turn on notifications. The following interactive performance is a second-round entry in Chilling Tales for Dark Nights 2025 Evil Idol Voice Acting Competition. And you, listener, get to help decide who advances to round 3. Voting is simple. Following the performance, simply click the thumbs up icon on this video if you'd like this contestant to move forward, or the thumbs down if you'd like to see them be eliminated. Voting on this entry will conclude 1 week after the date of its posting. Thank you, and good luck to all of our contestants.
I don't really know what to say. Last week I was in a bad car crash. The doctor said that I suffered some brain injuries in the crash and that it's a miracle that I'm not dead. They also said that I needed to stay on top of things, especially when it comes to memory. I guess I'm supposed to be writing in a diary for 2 months. 2 whole months. I'm a man. Men don't write in diaries. But Dr. Schneider said that this would be good for me. I guess that means that I'm going to be writing for a while. It doesn't have to be everything I do every day, just 1 or 2 things that happen to me each day. So, I guess day 1 is going to be my personal information. My name is James Hunter. I live in Sheboygan, Michigan. It's not a big house, it's basically just the upstairs and the basement. I have an attic, but I haven't been up there. I guess one of my favorite things about this house is the fact that it's secluded. I live out in the country, so no one ever goes past here. That makes it a perfect spot for murder. It's not a murder. The truth is, I got this house for a really low cost because someone was murdered in a month before I moved in. I don't really know much about the murder, but I know that the body was found on an old wooden staircase that leads from the basement to the garage. Anyway, a young couple moved into the house 6 months later and left a month later when they found the basement steps broken. They were sure it was a ghost that broke the stairs. They found out later that the steps were old and rotten, and the husband fell while he was sleepwalking, but they refused to move back in. That's why I moved here. I'm a huge fan of the paranormal. I saw my grandmother's ghost appear at the foot of my bed once when I was 11 years old. Ever since then, I've been trying to get another ghost appear to me. So far, no luck. However, I'm hopeful that this house will bring me to the paranormal experience that I crave so badly. In fact, when I moved in here on June 12th of this year, I spent my first night here examining the staircase. It's actually very interesting. There apparently used to be access to the area under the steps for storage, but that was closed off when the staircase was remodeled. Now it's surrounded by walls of concrete, and I can't even see through the area underneath. The vertical wooden planks that connect to the horizontal ones filled up all the open space. Sorry, diary. I know you didn't want to hear some dumb ghost enthusiast talk about some creaky old staircase. I just hope that there was some actual paranormal activity going on here. I've been living here for a whole month now, and so far, no luck. Anyway, I think that's plenty for one day. I'm going to bed now. Talk to you tomorrow. I'm talking to my diary like it's a person. I really am going insane. Note to self. If you name this diary, I'm calling the men in the white jackets. July 16, 2010. After 12 boring entries in this journal, I actually have something worth writing about. Something happened to me last night. Something extraordinary. I was lying in bed, trying to sleep, when I heard something coming from the basement beneath my room. It sounded like something heavy scraping across the cement floor. Excited, I jumped out of bed, grabbed the flashlight from my kitchen table, and rushed down the stairs into the basement. Naturally, the first thing I did was stand on the wooden staircase and scan the entire room. Nothing seemed out of place. Hello? I asked the dark room. Is someone there? I waited for a while, but received no response. I could talk to whoever's here. I don't want to hurt you. Can you tell me your name? Again, I was answered with silence. Curious as to what I heard moved, I grabbed the biggest thing in my basement, which was the dryer, and I pulled it away from the wall. It made a loud scraping sound, but it wasn't quite like what I heard. Then I tried the same thing with the washing machine, workbench, and treadmill, but none of these things sounded right. The workbench sounded more like what I thought I heard, but it didn't seem right. I stayed up until 3:30 this morning, searching for answers, but there was still no evidence that a ghost was involved. July 17, 2010. Call me crazy if you want. Maybe I am crazy. I still have no clue who these comments are directed at. I guess I'll just assume that Dr. Schneider will end up reading these journal entries. Anyway, I called in a psychic today. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Doesn't he know that psychics just scan your money? Well, I'm not so sure. The psychic name was Lori Marvin. She came in early this morning to scan my house for spiritual activity. Surprise, surprise, she knew that something very dark had happened on those steps in the basement. I swear, I didn't tell her anything before she went down there. She said that she was getting a strong reading from a spirit named Carlton. As soon as she stood on the wooden staircase leading to the garage, that's all she could tell me. I asked if he meant any harm, but she told me that she didn't know. Still, Carlton is something to go on. After Miss Marvin left, I decided it was time for me to hit the internet and see if anyone named Carlton recently died in Sheboygan. As it turns out, Carlton Mueller was the name of the man who was murdered by Tyler Frank, his business partner, on the wooden stairs last year. Who's a fraud now, huh? July 23, 2010. I know. I'm sorry that I haven't been writing my journal recently. To tell the truth, I've been so busy with my new job at Sheboygan's new newspaper editor that I haven't had time. I figured that writing in newspapers was similar enough to writing in my journal that it would be okay. Dr. Schneider, however, told me yesterday that it was not okay and that these journals are for my own benefit. He said I'm supposed to be writing to help me remember my life. I guess it's a little true, ever since my entry on the 19th was going fishing with Jerry. My memory's been a little foggy. I guess I'll have to remember to write in this journal more often. Oh well, I sincerely apologize to myself. I accept. Hooray! Cake and beer around. July 29, 2010. Oh my god! I'm so happy! I could cry. Actually, I'll be honest. I did cry. I wrote in my diary and I cried. But I don't even care how girly that makes me sound anymore. I have seen the most amazing thing in my life. I was lying in my bed last night when I realized that I had left the bathroom light on. So I rolled over, got out of bed. I opened my bedroom door and looked down the hallway. What I saw actually almost made me wet my pants. It was a man. A grown man. He was standing on the other end of the hallway, just staring at my bedroom door. The light from the bathroom illuminated his face beautifully. He had a tall head with short black hair, a few whiskers that were scattered across his face, giving him a rugged, tired look. "Hello?" I asked nervously. The man didn't answer. "Are you Carlton?" I forced the words out of my mouth. To my delight, the figure nodded. I was talking to a ghost. I couldn't believe it. Just to make sure I wasn't dreaming, I pinched my arm as hard as I could. The intense pain convinced me that this was real. How'd you die? I inquired. Of course, I already knew the answer. I just wanted the ghost to speak to me. Sadly, he didn't. He simply stared at me with steady eyes. I don't know how long Carlton and I looked at each other. It could have been 10 minutes, but it felt more like an hour. No matter what I asked, the ghost of Carlton Mueller did not speak to me. The only response I received from Carlton all night was when he nodded his head to confirm that he was in fact Carlton. I finally returned to my bed, bidding Carlton good night. I woke up this morning. He was gone. August 3rd, 2010. Well, I was starting to get worried that Carlton wouldn't show up again. Every morning that I wake up since I first saw him, I find the furniture in the dining room, living room, and basement completely rearranged. I knew that this was Carlton, and I didn't care. Really, it's just that, well, I wish he'd show his face again, and he did. Last night, I was sleeping soundly when I heard something move in my room. I woke up and rolled over, expecting to see a chair on that side, courtesy to my good friend Carlton Mueller. Instead, I saw Carlton himself standing over my bed, staring directly at me into my eyes. I nearly screamed, but I didn't want to scare him away, so I quietly whispered, "Hello, Carlton." Carlton didn't react. I asked him if he wanted me to wake up. Once again, he stood in place like a statue. I tried to get him to answer me, but just like the night on July 28th, he didn't move a muscle. Finally, I sighed and rolled over. I have mixed feelings. On one hand, I'm glad I saw Carlton again. On the other hand, I definitely did not like the way he stood in the middle of our bedroom. Who knows how long he's been there after I fell asleep. More importantly, what if he stands there every night, and last night was just the first time I saw him? The malicious look in his dark eyes as he stared at me was unsettling. August 4, 2010. I couldn't sleep last night. Yesterday, I thought I wasn't scared of Carlton. I thought that after a day, I had enough time to get over it. Now, however, I'm positive that I'm actually intimidated. In fact, intimidated is an understatement. I lay awake in my bed all night long, shaking like crazy. I couldn't stand the thought of waking up and seeing Carlton watching over me with such a malevolent glare again. I don't know how Tyler Frank killed Carlton Mueller, but it must have been horrible. That is one pissed off spirit. But I can't let my emotions control me like this. Writing in my journal may be very well the only thing keeping me insane after that incident, which is ironic since I feel like I'm talking to myself. Regardless of whether or not I'm actually insane, I will not let Carlton's presence in my house affect me like this. This is my house, not his. I shouldn't have to leave just because of a ghost. More importantly, if I let him scare me like this, he will feed on my fear, and very likely he will do it again. I really don't want him to scare me again. However, know this, Carlton, if you try to scare me again, I will not be afraid. I will not leave my home because of you, Carlton Mueller. August 5th, 2010. Well, this is a good reason to celebrate. It's been a month since I was assigned to this project, and that means I only have a month left. I would crack open a bottle of champagne if I wasn't scared to death going to the basement. Last night, I didn't sleep again. All night I heard noises come from the basement. I kept my bedroom door closed and locked, as if ghosts need to use doors. I don't know what Carlton's doing down there, but it's really annoying. At least I can rely on the fact that as long as he's moving stuff downstairs, he can't be watching me upstairs. And all night long I kept hearing that scraping noise over and over. That same scraping noise. That's another thing. I wish I knew what it was. I've completely rearranged everything in my basement since the first night I heard Carlton, but nothing makes that specific sound. I just can't figure out what it is. I'm absolutely 100% positive that nothing in my basement makes that noise, so what is it? August 6, 2010. So, I saw Dr. Schneider yesterday again. He said that my head injury may affect me worse than he originally thought. He said that insomnia might be due to brain damage. I laugh and explain that I've been staying awake because a ghost watches me when I sleep. For the same reason, that didn't comfort him. August 14, 2010. I went downstairs. I finally got the courage to go down in my basement. Of course, I didn't see Carlton. There were no signs that Carlton had ever been down there. In fact, everything in the basement was exactly the way I left it when I last came upstairs. I was kind of hoping that I would see something out of place so that I knew that Carlton was moving things around down there. Actually, it's kind of odd. Every morning I find things different places than where I left them. However, these occurrences only are confined to my living room, kitchen, dining room, guest room, bedroom, and bathroom. The basement and my bedroom remain untouched. Weird, huh? Anyway, I'm glad I went down to the basement. It made me feel safer being in the place I knew to be the source of Carlton's ghost and yet experiencing nothing paranormal. It was somewhat comforting. I mean, I haven't seen Carlton since he woke me up on the night of the 2nd. Maybe he knows that he scared me, and maybe he didn't mean to. I'm starting to think that Carlton might not be such a bad guy after all. August 21st, 2010. I can't handle this anymore. Every day I sit down at my desk and write down whatever it was that I did that day, like some lab rat. I feel like a child who's been ordered to color a picture. I'm not Schneider's damned lab rat. Last night, I left my door unlocked. It's been almost 20 days since I last saw Carlton in my bedroom, so I thought it might be safe. God, why am I so unlucky? Woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, and I knew instantly that there was someone standing over me. I slowly rolled over, and of course, saw Carlton. But he wasn't standing in the same place he was the last time he was in my room. This time, he was standing right over my bed. He looked different than he had before, too. His hair was much messier than I remember seeing it the first night. And his eyes, they made me shudder. They were surrounded by darkness, and the first thought I had when I saw them was evil. I had never really considered Carlton evil before last night. Maybe a troublemaker, a creeper, and a bit mischievous, but not evil. I gasped loudly when I saw him. His reaction didn't change, as usual. "Carlton!" I nearly shouted, remembering to keep my emotional distress to a minimum. I corrected my tone and continued. "Why are you here?" As I predicted, Carlton didn't reply. "Please, leave," I said quietly, not breaking my eye contact with him. Carlton's eyes widened to a frightening size and his head tilted a bit. No, I said quickly, sitting up and backing up to the other side of my bed. I didn't mean that you should leave the house. I meant you should leave my bedroom. Please, I added when Carlton's eyes narrowed and his nostrils flared angrily. "Look, I don't want you to leave the house," I insisted. "I want you to stay." Very slowly and deliberately, Carlton moved around my bed to the side that I had crawled to. "But, when I'm sleeping, that's my time, Carlton." When the ghost didn't stop, I scooped back over to the side of the bed I woke up on. "Carlton, please, don't hurt me. I've done nothing to hurt you. Why would you go after me?" Carlton didn't answer. He walked quietly on the foot of my bed and stood there with his usual overseeing attitude. He didn't leave until I fell asleep again. I woke up this morning and found my bedroom door open. I can't live like this much longer. If I can't get Carlton out of this house, I'm going to have to move out and let someone else deal with them. August 22, 2010. I locked my bedroom door last night, and there was no sign of Carlton. I'm never unlocking this door again. I think Carlton thinks it's my way of welcoming him to my bedroom. I don't know. I just hope I didn't hurt his feelings. Wait. What am I saying? I hope I didn't hurt Ghost's feelings? That's ridiculous. He came into my home, moved all my stuff, scared me to death, and I'm saying that I hope I didn't hurt his feelings? Forget that. I hope he went home to his ghost mama, cried ghost tears, and ate a whole gallon of ghost ice cream, and ended up losing his ghost leg to ghost diabetes. I don't care what Carlton wants anymore. I want Carlton gone. It's really too bad that he's a ghost, because if he wasn't, I'd wish he was dead. Then again, I think both Carlton and I would be happier if he was still alive. August 28, 2010. The exterminator came over today to spray his bug stuff like he has every month since I moved here. While he was here, he decided to make my life a little more miserable by telling me that I have a termite problem. Why the hell not? I mean, everything else in my life has gone wrong. My house has termites. My life has been tormented by evil poltergeists. I may or may not have permanent brain damage, and I'm probably going insane because of all this crap put together. I want to die. At least I'd be able to make someone else's life as horrifying as Carlton has made mine. But wait. I need to get my house fumigated. No, I'm not an idiot. I knew that fumigating my home won't kill a ghost. However, it will give me a good reason to move out for a day or two. I'll sleep better than I had my entire life if I can make sure that I won't wake up with a ghost of Carlton Mueller staying over me. August 29, 2010. Sweet relief. I decided to move into my hotel room a little prematurely, and I couldn't be more happier. The instant I stepped into my room, I thought, this feels more like home than home does. How about that? But I only have a few days of this. My house is getting fumigated tomorrow, and the bugman said that I should be able to move back in on Tuesday, August 31st. But you know what? I might decide to stay here a little longer. It's nice being able to sleep. September 1st, 2010. Today was the most disturbing day of my life. Yes, it was even more disturbing when Carlton tried to attack me. When I moved back into my house yesterday, I slept in my bed. Of course, I locked my bedroom door. I thought that would keep Carlton out. I woke up at 3 o'clock again this morning. I opened my eyes slowly, afraid to what I find. However, quite predictably, Carlton was standing next to my bed. I sat up quickly. "Carlton, please, stay away from me," I begged. But I realized quickly that Carlton wasn't looking at me. He had been looking down at the floor with a sad expression on his face. "What?" I asked, quite bewildered. When I said this, his head jerked up and his eyes pointed directly into mine. They seemed different. Tonight, though, they were much less hateful. After a moment, Carlton gestured for me to stand up. "You want me to stand?" I asked without answering me. Carlton turned and walked straight through my locked door. I got up quickly and rushed to the door, unlocking it. I pulled it open hastily and found Carlton standing on the other side, staring at me as if he could see through the door. I jumped but prevented myself from screaming. Carlton turned around and walked down the hallway to the staircase. It was strange to watch him walk. His feet almost didn't touch the floor, as if he was walking through a pool of neck-high water, picking up his urgency. I follow him through the hallway and down the stairs. When Carlton stepped into the basement, I grew wary about following him further. I had heard some stories that ghosts gained power when they were in places where they were killed. What if he wanted to kill me? My curiosity outweighed my caution, and I entered the basement. With no hesitation, Carlton walked straight through the basement to the wooden staircase on which he was killed. He stopped right there and gestured me to stand at the base of the first step. I did. Carlton pointed to the third and fourth steps, and then gestured toward the ceiling. What am I supposed to... What? Lift them up or something? I asked, confused. Carlton nodded. I felt stupid doing it, but I tried anyway. To my surprise, as I pulled on the third and fourth step to the wooden staircase, they shifted slightly. I looked over at Carlton, who nodded stoically. I gulped, realizing that my mouth was uncomfortably dry. I fixed my grip on the steps and pulled up again. This time, they came off of the staircase in one piece with a loud scraping sound. I knew that sound. I knew it so well. I heard it coming from my basement every night. I looked inside the hole made from the lack of third and fourth steps, but I couldn't see anything. Hold on, I said to Carlton. Let me go get my flashlight. I dashed up the stairs, grabbed the flashlight from the kitchen table, and ran back downstairs. Carlton was still standing in the exact same place he had before I left. He pointed inside the hole. I knelt down and shone my flashlight through the stairs. Inside, I saw a body. A dead body. I gagged and dropped the flashlight. It fell through the floor where it flickered and resumed its regular glow. Forcing myself to control my reflexes, I packed up the flashlight and aimed it at the body. It was a man's body, and I saw the face clearly. I felt like my entire body was paralyzed. I knew that face. I called the police immediately, and they were there within 15 minutes. They investigated my entire house from top to bottom. They even searched the attic. Sergeant Dale Turner asked me to give him a statement, so I told him exactly what happened. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and there was a ghost at the end of my bed, I said. I didn't care if I sounded crazy. He led me down the stairs into the basement where he showed me how to lift up these steps, so I did, and I found his body. You found whose body? Sergeant Turner asked. The, ghost? Yes, it was the body of Carlton Mueller, I told him. I think his spirit's been trying to communicate with me for a while. I've been seeing his ghost around my house for the past month now. Did you say month? The sergeant inquired. Yeah, I first saw him on July 29. Ever since then, he kept showing up. Mr. Hunter, Sergeant Turner said quietly. This man that you found, we've been looking for him for 2 months now, but he's only been dead for a couple of days.
Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Steve Taylor, reminding you that if you haven't already, don't forget to cast your vote for this contestant via either a thumbs up or a thumbs down vote. New entries will be posted throughout this month. Be sure to tune in and vote for each of them and help decide who becomes the next evil idol. Until next time, turn off the lights and turn on the dark.
Chilling tales for dark nights.